Chiefs Kingdom, let's go, baby. It's official. Excited for 2026 and just excited to put on the Chiefs uniform in front of you guys again.
Now, everyone saw when Kelce celebrated what many believed would be his final contract in the NFL, with fans assuming he was nearing the end of his career. But recently, new reports revealed he has signed a massive 3-year deal worth around $54 million. The problem is, the Chiefs owner isn't fully on board and is reportedly trying to cancel it. Here's what we know. The fall, a season that changed everything.
Now, there have not been many Mosses in Kansas City this season. The Chiefs eliminated from the playoffs last week.
For the first time since 2014, the Kansas City Chiefs were not playing in the postseason. The Chiefs finished the 2025 season with a 6-11 record, a departure from a run that had produced back-to-back Super Bowl titles and 8 AFC championship appearances under Patrick Mahomes.
First time since 2014 they won't play in the postseason. They went to the AFC championship game or farther in each of Patrick Mahomes' first 7 seasons as a starter.
8 AFC championship appearances in a row. That run ended in 2025. Mahomes' ACL recovery affected his mobility. The offensive line failed to protect him at the rate it had in prior seasons. And at age 35, Travis Kelce, who had spent 13 seasons as the anchor of the Chiefs' offense, posted numbers that told the story of a player at the end of his contract cycle.
So here's Travis Kelce talking about reality setting in on his New Heights podcast this week.
In 2025, Kelce caught 76 passes for 851 yards and 5 touchdowns in 17 games. By the standards of the position, those are functional numbers. By the standards of Travis Kelce, they are not. In 2022, his last 1,000-yard season, he caught 110 passes for 1,138 yards and 12 touchdowns. In 2020, he set the single-season tight end receiving yards record with 1,416 yards in 15 games. In 2018, he crossed 100 receptions for the first time, becoming the only tight end in NFL history to do so in multiple seasons. The 2025 line was the output of a player still on the field, still earning Pro Bowl recognition for an 11th time, but no longer operating at the rate that had defined the prime of his career. His previous 2-year, $34.25 million contract extension, signed in 2024, expired at the start of the 2026 league year. That made him a free agent for the first time since the Kansas City Chiefs selected him in the 3rd round, 63rd overall, of the 2013 NFL Draft. And then he went on his podcast.
All I know is to go out there and play my ass off and to show up and, give my guys the best chance to win. And you're playing this game, obviously, to win Super Bowl.
These were the words of a player processing what it means to compete in the NFL without a playoff appearance on the other side of the season.
Playing this game to be in those playoff scenarios and stuff, but at the end of the day, man, you're playing in the NFL.
The analysts on NFL Countdown heard something in the tone that went past a player describing a down year. They were hearing a player in the process of taking stock.
That's an honor. It's an honor to be out there in a uniform, playing for the guys around you, playing for your family, playing for the people back home.
The language of honoring the uniform, honoring the people, that is the language of an end, not a continuation. It is the language of a player who has calculated what the game has given him against what it still requires of him.
And I'll tell you what, man, if there's a game to be had, baby, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to love playing in it.
One of the NFL Countdown analysts, Teddy Bruschi, named what many people were hearing.
Yeah, he's talking like a man that's done. And it's what a career. What an honor to watch him.
Talking like a man that's done. That phrase circulated through football media in the week following the Chiefs' elimination. Here was a player who, before the 2025 season, had never played a single year without at least an AFC championship appearance since Patrick Mahomes took over as the starter in 2018. Mahomes and Kelce connected for 54 regular season touchdowns, the most between any quarterback tight end combination in Chiefs history. And now, the question of whether that partnership had produced its final play hung over the offseason without resolution.
So the only thing that is too bad in this, you'd love to see him that last game go off the field with his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Losing Kelce in a 6-11 season, without a send-off, without a final playoff run, without the image of him walking off an NFL field alongside the quarterback he helped build a dynasty with, was the version of this story nobody in Kansas City wanted to tell.
Unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to be. But, man, this guy, I mean, it's a first ballot Hall of Fame player.
First ballot Hall of Fame. Kelce's career regular season totals through 2025: 1,080 receptions, 13,002 yards, 82 touchdowns across 192 games. He has been named to 11 Pro Bowls, earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections, and won 3 Super Bowls, all with the same franchise, all with the same coach in Andy Reid, all in the same city. His postseason numbers are in a separate conversation: 178 receptions, 2,078 yards, 20 touchdowns across 25 playoff games, the most career postseason receptions in NFL history, a record that broke Jerry Rice's mark. He holds the NFL record for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end with 7. He holds the single-season receiving yards record for a tight end. He has caught passes in 174 consecutive games, a Chiefs franchise record. And in the winter of 2026, all of it was on a contract that had expired. The countdown panel moved from Kelce's future to the team's future without him. What would it take to rebuild the Chiefs' offense if the player who had defined it for over a decade did not return?
Yeah, this is a minor little facelift thing, you know. Like, listen, this isn't a bunch of work they're going to have to do. They don't need to blow this thing up at all.
Not a rebuild, a remodel. The core remained: Mahomes, the offensive line investments, the speed at receiver. But the panel identified a gap. The Chiefs had lacked a receiving threat out of the backfield, the Brian Westbrook or Jamal Charles role in Reid's system, and without Kelce's presence to collapse zone coverages and pull defenders toward the middle of the field, Mahomes would be working with a smaller margin for error than he had operated within for the majority of his career.
You don't have the Travis Kelce out there possibly next time, so I would like to see him get rid of the carpet, put some hardwoods down, and let's run the foot.
The conversation on national television was framing this as a crossroads for the player and for the franchise. What the panel did not yet know, as those words aired, was that Clark Hunt had already decided which direction the team was going, and it was not the direction the cancellation headline would have you believe. The contract, what canceling actually looks like. Before a single moment of 2026 free agency had passed, the story resolved itself in the direction no clickbait headline anticipated. The NFL's official account announced on March 23, 2026, that Travis Kelce had signed a 3-year, $54,735 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs, maximum value approximately $57.7 million, per NFL Network insider Ian Rapoport. The post gathered 59,000 likes, 3.7 thousand reposts, and over 7.7 million views within hours of going live. And then Kelce stepped in front of a camera and said what Chiefs Kingdom needed to hear.
Chiefs Kingdom, let's go, baby. It's official. Excited for 2026 and just excited to put on the Chiefs uniform in front of you guys again.
Gone was every trace of the reflective, honor the game register from the New Heights podcast after the playoffs miss. What replaced it was the Kelce who drops 110 catch seasons, who barrels through defensive backs on the 1st and 10, who screams at Arrowhead and watches the stadium answer him back. The decision had been made, and it was carrying its own voltage.
Let's get Arrowhead rocking, baby. We'll see you guys in a few months.
11 seconds, enough to reroute an entire offseason narrative. The owner did not cancel Travis Kelce's contract. The owner gave Kelce the space to decide, the time to decide, and then, when the decision came, handed him a new one. The insane reasons that the clickbait headline promised were not betrayal or fallout. They were the architecture of the deal itself, and that architecture genuinely rewards examination.
It is now officially official. Travis Kelce has in fact signed back with the Kansas City Chiefs, back for another season. 1
more year. That is the functional reality of the contract. But the number the NFL's announcement led with: 3 years, $54,735 million.
1 more year before he walks off into the sunset or goes to make a lot of money on this podcast or whatever else he does after football.
And 1 year is a structure the NFL calls void years. Contract seasons that carry no real obligation to pay the player, no genuine expectation of playing time. Cap accounting requires. They exist as spreadsheet entries, not as promises. The final 2 years of Kelce's new deal are exactly this: placeholder seasons with minimum salaries and no real cash flowing to Kelce in 2027 or 2028, added for the singular purpose of allowing the Chiefs to spread Kelce's signing bonus across 3 cap years instead of 1, a maneuver that, under NFL accounting rules, dramatically reduces the cost of the signing against Kansas City's 2026 salary cap.
Now, this deal was done right at the beginning of free agency. My understanding is a 1 year, essentially $12 million deal with $3 million available in incentives by his agent, Mike Simon of Milk and Honey Sports.
12 up over a 17-game season at age 36.
Now, that's not what the deal actually looks like, though. That's the effective. Really what it is 3 years, $54 million, $57 million available in incentives.
Gives his agent a contract line to hang on the wall, and costs the Chiefs almost nothing extra in real cap terms because the years that inflate the average are illusory.
Final 2 years are essentially placeholders. One, to minimize the cap hit. It's complicated, but just trust me on that one.
The result of all this cap gymnastics, Kelce's 2026 cap hit lands at approximately $4.9 million, not 12, anchors the offense of a team competing for a Super Bowl and who carries the commercial weight of being the most recognizable tight end the sport has ever seen. $4.9 million on the 2026 cap is a number that gives general manager Brett Veach room to address every other positional need the Chiefs identified after their 6'11 collapse. Offensive line depth, a receiving threat running back to fill the Jamal Charles role that the countdown analysts flagged, pass catchers with the speed to complement Kelce's coverage warping presence in the middle of the field. The low cap hit fits the Chiefs' approach of maintaining aggressive roster flexibility while retaining franchise cornerstones.
2, in case Travis Kelce wants to play another year, the contract year is there, but essentially 1 year, $12 million.
This is the second function of the multi-year structure, and it is the one that speaks to how the Chiefs view their relationship with Kelce. If, after the 2026 season, the football still flows through him the way it has for 14 years, the framework exists for continuity without a full renegotiation. The team gave themselves a mechanism to retain him beyond 2026 without requiring a hard guarantee against an uncertain future. They gave Kelce the freedom to retire on his terms without a contractual cliff or a public negotiation. The whole structure, the void years, the prorated bonus, the incentive tiers, is designed so that neither side has to lose face if 2026 turns out to be his final season.
But this year, one of the best tight ends ever is officially back.
Mahomes, described in reporting as having FaceTimed Kelce during the signing process and calling it home sweet home, was not a passive participant in this outcome. The quarterback who has run his offense through Kelce's chess piece presence, the security valve on 3rd and long, the red zone weapon in the back of the end zone, the blocker who holds the edge on bootleg play action, the fourth quarter chain mover who has made clutch look routine, pushed for his return. Andy Reid, who has coached Kelce since 2013 and built the most productive quarterback tight end connection in Chiefs history around him, wanted him back. And Clark Hunt, who at no point issued an ultimatum, at no point applied public pressure, and at no point created the conditions for a cancellation to become a reality, gave Kelce the space and then the contract to make the decision Kelce wanted to make. The fan reaction on social media split cleanly along the lines it always splits. Some read the signing as a loyalty play, a franchise honoring its defining player in what is widely expected to be his final season. Others fired off the predictable critiques: washed, nostalgia pay, paying for Taylor Swift tickets. The broader debate about whether a 36-year-old tight end on a post-playoff miss team deserves a contract at all is a real football conversation, but it is a different conversation from the one the cancellation headline was selling. Clark Hunt did not cancel a contract. He wrote one, structured it to cost his team almost nothing against the cap in the year that matters, preserved every available option for the years that follow, and handed the paper to the player who has been the face of his franchise for over a decade. The more interesting question is not how the contract works, it is why. Clark Hunt would keep Travis Kelce through a season defined by declining production and real controversy, and never seriously consider any version of the insane reasons the headline promised. To understand that, you have to understand the full weight of what Kelce carries, on the field, off it, and on the spreadsheet that runs the business underneath the game. The reasons why canceling was never an option begin here. Nearly $1 billion. That is the estimated equivalent brand value generated for the NFL through Travis Kelce's relationship with Taylor Swift from her first public appearance at a Chiefs game in September 2023 through early 2025, as calculated by Apex Marketing Group. It represents the swelling cumulative tide of television coverage, social media mentions, merchandise eruptions, ticket demand surges, and a generational wave of new fan acquisition that Swift's presence and public association with the franchise unleashed on the NFL, an institution that had been trying to court female viewers for decades without ever finding the lever that moved the needle at scale. Swift's first public appearance at a Chiefs game, a Week 3 matchup against the Chicago Bears in September 2023, drew 24.3 million viewers, the most watched Sunday game of that entire weekend. The following week, with Swift in attendance again for a game against the Jets, the number climbed to 27 million, the highest Sunday Night Football audience recorded since the Super Bowl. The numbers did not plateau. Playoff games she attended in the 2023 season shattered their own ceilings. 50.4 million viewers for the AFC divisional round and 55.5 million for the AFC championship. Figures that rival the kind of cultural moments the NFL spends billions manufacturing through halftime shows and international games and celebrity-studded Super Bowl week parties. NFL regular season average viewership rose 7% in 2023 to 17.9 million, the highest since 2015. This was not a product of competitive seasons or narrative storylines alone. It was a product of a new audience sitting down in front of football broadcasts for the first time and staying. Female viewership jumped 9% overall, with seismic movement in the demographic Swift commands, a 53% surge among teenage girls, 24% growth among women aged 18 to 24, and 34% growth among women over 35. A 2026 academic study found that Chiefs games Swift attended drew approximately 1/3 higher viewership than games she did not attend. A sustained premium that held even as her in-person appearances became less frequent in 2025 due to security and travel logistics. Women now make up approximately 47% of the NFL's audience, up from roughly 37 to 40% before 2023. That demographic shift does not reverse when a relationship continues, it compounds. This is not a football decision. This is a balance sheet decision. Travis Kelce's jersey sales surged nearly 400% immediately after Swift's first game appearance, rocketing him into the NFL's top 5 in merchandise. Chiefs-related purchases by Swift's fan base tripled year over year. StubHub and TickPick reported 3 times the normal search volume, and price increases of 35 to 40% for Chiefs home games when Swift's attendance was rumored or confirmed. NFL sponsorships rose 15% to $235 billion in 2023 alone, with continued growth through 2024. Every single one of those numbers is downstream of one relationship, and that relationship, as of the signing of this contract, has deepened. Kelce and Swift became engaged in August 2025, with wedding speculation circulating around summer 2026. The engagement means that the Swift-Kelce storyline, the defining intersection of pop culture and professional sports in the mid-2020s, will not simply continue through the 2026 NFL season. It will be amplified by one of the most commercially saturating events in celebrity culture. Clark Hunt releasing Kelce before a season that sits alongside a potential Swift wedding would require the Chiefs' ownership to voluntarily walk away from a revenue machine with no comparable replacement anywhere on the roster. The $4.9 million cap hit is not even a rounding error against that commercial calculus. But the Swift effect, transformative as it has been, is not the only reason a cancellation was never on the table, because Kelce's off-field story in the years surrounding the relationship has not been frictionless, and Clark Hunt signed him anyway, which tells you something about the weight of what he brings against the weight of what has surrounded him. In November 2023, old tweets from Kelce's college years at the University of Cincinnati resurfaced. Posts from 2010 and 2011, when he was 20 and 21 years old, that contained body-shaming language aimed at women, fat-phobic content, and at least one use of gay as a pejorative in the context of dismissing a video game. The posts were verified as authentic by Snopes and covered by the New York Times, the Daily Beast, and every corner of Swift's fan base whose members had celebrated his earlier tweets as charming, unfiltered proof that he was the approachable, funny, self-deprecating man his public persona suggested. Joy Behar on The View called him illiterate. The tweets were scrubbed from his account in mid-November 2023, but they had been archived across Reddit threads, news articles, and social media screenshots, effectively permanently retrievable. Kelce addressed them on his New Heights podcast, calling them nonsense from youth without a formal apology. The conversation closed without resolution and reopened periodically through 2024 and 2025. Then came the charity investigation. Federal tax filings covering the 87 and Running Foundation, Kelce's nonprofit, focused on youth sports and STEM education in Cleveland and Kansas City, showed the organization raised approximately $1.5 million between 2021 and 2024, but spent only 41 cents of every dollar on direct charitable programs. The remaining 59 cents per dollar flowed toward administrative costs, the most scrutinized portion of which involved hundreds of thousands of dollars to A&A Management Group, a company co-founded by Kelce's longtime business managers, raising questions about governance, self-dealing, and whether the financial architecture of the foundation served its stated mission or the people running it. The board had only 2 members at the time of the investigation, lacking standard officers. The Arizona Republic's full investigation into the tax records broke in December 2025, the same month the Chiefs were completing a 6-11 collapse, and circulated through football media and celebrity media simultaneously. Kelce was nominated for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award in the same news cycle. The foundation subsequently amended its filings, expanded its board, and committed $800,000 in future community programming. The optics of the overlap, Man of the Year nomination and charity investigation in the same calendar window, added a layer of complexity to Kelce's public image that the tweets alone had not created. On the field, across his career, Kelce accumulated over $133,000 in NFL fines for unsportsmanlike conduct, the accumulated cost of a player who plays at the edge of his own emotional regulation and occasionally goes over it, a $24,309 fine in 2016 for throwing a towel at an official during an ejection, a $12,500 fine in 2020 for dunking the ball over the goalpost, a $14,490 fine in 2025 for an obscene gesture toward the Eagles' sideline after a catch, an $11,255 fine for taunting in the AFC Championship against Buffalo that same year. At Super Bowl LV8 in 2024, he yelled at and bumped into Andy Reid on the sideline after a teammate's fumble, hard enough that Reid stumbled, and addressed it on his podcast afterward, calling his behavior unacceptable. In 2025, he skipped post-game media availability after multiple losses, drawing criticism from analysts including Chris "Mad Dog" Russo, who called the behavior disrespectful and childish, while the NFL issued no fine. None of this produced a suspension. None of it resulted in legal jeopardy, and against the backdrop of what Travis Kelce generates in wins, in playoff appearances, in touchdowns, in television numbers, in merchandise revenue, in the kind of franchise-defining gravity that Andy Reid has built an entire offensive vocabulary around for over a decade. None of it was ever going to produce a contract cancellation from Clark Hunt. Hunt stated as early as January 2026 that there was no doubt in his mind Kelce could still play, and that the organization would give him the time to decide without pressure. No deadline, no public negotiation, no calculated leak designed to force the player's hand. Just patience from an ownership group that had watched Kelce turn a 6'5", 250-pound tight end's body into the statistical chassis of one of the greatest receivers the position has ever seen, and that was not ready to write the final paragraph without the player's full participation in choosing when it ends. Kelce himself, in describing his decision to return, called the Hunt family unbelievable and expressed deep gratitude for 13 seasons in Kansas City. The relationship between owner and player is not personal drama. It is not a negotiation conducted through intermediaries or manufactured tension. It is a franchise that built its dynasty around a player who redefined his position, that watched a 6-11 season unfold without panic, and that re-signed him on the first day of free agency at a cap number that amounts to a rounding error. Kelce's career totals read like the parameters of a position reimagined from first principles. 1,080 receptions, 13,002 yards, 82 touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl rings, 11 Pro Bowls, 7 1,000-yard seasons, the most in NFL history at the position. His postseason record, 178 receptions, 2,078 yards, 20 touchdowns across 25 games, is the most decorated postseason career ever produced by a tight end in NFL history. His playing style, improvisational route running that reads defenses pre-snap and exploits zone coverage at a rate that PFF grades as elite, yards after catch production that has forced more missed tackles than any tight end in the league's tracking era, a gravitational pull on opposing defensive formations that creates space for every other offensive option on the field, is not diminishing to the point of replacement. It is diminishing to the point of a $4.9 million cap hit on a one-year deal dressed as a 3-year contract. The insane reasons for the contract were not a scandal. They were a spreadsheet. Clark Hunt did not cancel Travis Kelce's contract. He signed it, structured it to fit his team's financial architecture, watched Kelce post a video from what appears to be a home setting in the first seconds of free agency, and let Arrowhead sell out the moment the news broke. Chiefs Kingdom is intact. The headline lied. The football is real. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.